sure thing. Do what you wanna do.
I thought I'd show you the first part of the installation of the heater. If many of you remember, I used to have the charger in this area. I moved it over here. In fact, these are the two bolts where it was bolted. Those are the same two bolts. I just actually turned the charger around, so I didn't even disconnect it. The reason I'm going to put the heater in this area is I want the heater up under here to pull air up from under the dash, come over, and then blow it back down out into the dash. Just thought I'd show. My first step was to move the charger. What I have here are some of the heating components for the car. I have the little fan and heat exchanger that EVTV sells. I have a little fan filter kit to go up under the car. This is what was in the original car, believe it or not. The exhaust would come up from the back, up through this tube, and it would come out these holes in the side of the little heat box here. And there's a little flapper valve in there that would direct the flow up to the dash that would go up to the defrost. All of these connections leak. In fact, at the bottom of this, there's just a big slot cut in it where the cable came up to pull the little flapper valve. It's amazing to me that any heat would have ever made it from all the way from the back of the car up to the all the way up to the vents in the dash. So I'm going to do something a little different. What I'm going to do up under the dash here is I'm going to mount the heat exchanger kind of in this vertical orientation. I'm going to cut a hole in the firewall so it'll be up under the dash. It'll pull air directly from inside the car. It'll loop up and then go through a hole back down, and then I'll loop up again to go to the vent in the dash. My guess is this heater is not going to put out more than about 700 to say 1200 watts of heat. It's probably not enough to truly heat the car. So my main goal here is to get plenty of heat up to the windshield for defrost purposes. Being a convertible car, obviously the windows tend to fog up pretty bad in them. So my main goal here is really to get some heat up to the windscreen, and then also maybe take the chill off the air. Probably not going to drive this car, unless it's at least 40 degrees. Probably won't drive it down into the 30s. Well, here is the heat box, or most of the heat box. This is the the heating element, the fan. Again, in my car, it's going to pull air up through the bottom, come around, and then go back down, and then come up under the dash and go into the vent system. So I'm going to use the original flexible tubing this is what they originally used to duct with. I'm just going to weld this piece into the heat box, and then this will just bring it down through the dash, and there'll be another duct work underneath there. And this is, of course, the cover for the duct here. So that's what it'll kind of look like. Again, heat will come up from the bottom, across the top, down, and then go under the dash, and then back up into the venting system. This was just the easiest way to route it in the car. I know it seems like a little bit crazy, but I think the venting will work just fine. Basically, you have a 2.5 inch duct work, and of course this is just coming right off the heat sink. There'll probably be a little bit of heat in the top of it, may put some insulation around it, but that's my thought on the heating. A lot of people seem to be curious about how I do sheet metal work. I had a lot of questions asked. I find this tool is one of the handy ones. It's basically just a hand punch. It's great for sheet metal. Like I want to punch some holes here, and here, and things. So I've basically just done a center punch, and I'm going to put this tool on here. I basically got it in the part, so as you can see, the punch tool is just in the center mark that I made. So I always punch a little hole, because each one of these tools has a little centering location pin on it. So to punch the hole, you just squeeze it. Well, these are PIM adapters. As you can see, they're very small. All it is a little threaded nut that can be pressed into a sheet metal hole. You do need a fairly clean hole. In this case, they're 3/16. So the diameter that you punch the hole to accept the PIM is a 3/16 clean punch hole. So I'm going to take one of these PIMs and press it into the hole using the Roper Whitney hand press. As you can see, I've got the PIM installed in the tooling in the Roper Whitney hand press, and this is how the hand press actually presses it into the metal. Got the PIM in place. As you see, I've just got my hand on it, and I'm going to press this PIM into the sheet metal. So all you do is you just squeeze it. It inserts the PIM into the sheet metal. And see, now you have a threaded insert pressed firmly into the sheet metal, 632. Tighten her down, absolutely no problems. Well, I've got my fan running, and as you can see, I got a pretty good airflow here. It's able to support this little cup, so got a good bit of airflow coming up out of the thing. So this will be what's flowing up into my dash. So it's a good little bit of airflow. Probably, I had to guess, probably about 40 or 50 CFM. As you can see how the PIMs work. The screws are now nice in place. This is really what kind of makes the difference between your sheet metal work looking a little more professional. Is just a few basic hand tools, a couple of these little threaded inserts that you can buy from several different places online, and it kind of makes a big difference in how your projects turn out. Well, here you can see the hole I cut in the dash. It's a little nerve-wracking cutting a big 4.5 inch hole in your dash, but I did it. This is where the fan's going to come through. So this is the heat exchanger box you saw earlier. So I'm going to align this up and use this to find the center point of my hole and put the return vent hole back, that'll loop around back up into the dash. Well, here you can see I've got the heating box installed. I wrapped a little insulation blanket around the plenum because there's a lot of heat getting out of there. So as you can see, the heat comes up through the heat exchanger, through the fan, over, and then back down into the dash through that 2.5 inch tube. There's the fuse for it. This is the contactor for it. Haven't cleaned it up. I'm going to make another housing to go around this to just make it look a lot neater. But works really good. Adding the insulation made a huge difference in the amount of heat that comes back into the cabin.
Well, I decided I was going to do this project without actually using the milling machine, but I finally realized that I was going to have to use the milling machine to make some of these little parts for my plenum under the dash that directs the heat from the defrost down to your feet. These are just something I just needed to machine out. They're very difficult to make out of straight sheet metal. So that's what's going on here. It's about as interesting as watching paint dry, but I thought you'd like to see how it's done.
Just finished cutting out the part. That's what it looks like. It took approximately 6.87 minutes. So here's what they're going to look like side by side. They're going to be mounted side by side. The larger one is for 2.5 inch hose. It'll go to the defrost, and this one's going to go to the to your feet. I'm going to have a rod that runs through these, so there'll be a pivotable baffle so you can open and close it. I'm actually going to use the original controls and put a little cable extension using a choke cable housing to extend the cable up so that I'll be able to close off the defrost or close off the feet to force the air either way I want it to go. So here they are with the heating tube attached to them. As you can see, they just fit down on there. They will fit side by side. This one is the 2.5 inch, which goes up to the defrost vents, and this one's going to be the 2-inch unit that will go down to the to your feet. Well, here's kind of the finished product. What I've got is 2 baffles. I mean, the 2.5-inch goes to defrost, 2-inch goes down, and these are just 90 degrees apart, so when you open one it closes the other. I'm going to use a pull cable. I'm going to use the original the handle on the thing to be able to actuate the cable. I'm going to use a choke cable. It comes up through here, loops into here, and this will actually turn the vents. So when you push it all the way up, it'll be primarily feet, down in your lap type heat. Do it this way, it goes up into the exhaust. So that's what it looks like. I machined a piece on the mill to hold it. This is just a little spacer. The thing has a lot of corrugations in the thing, so this helps it. This is what will actually bolt it up under the dash. So this goes to the heat return. So this will come down from the engine compartment or the trunk, and this will blow up and into the dash. Well, here it is installed in the car. It is running. As you can see, the air comes down into this area. It goes up and into the plenum for the dash in this area. And when I turn the knob, I can open the air so that it comes out straight at you, or I can face it up to the defrost. I just thought I'd show you. I added the heater to the thing, so you just touch it, turn the heater on, turn it off. I'm going to use this area down here to do the temperature control eventually. Right now it's just on or off. Try to do the controls fairly simple. Well, as you can see, I decided to use the regular nozzle. So you push it all the way down, that's full defrost, and you pull it back, that's full heat. And then you can see up here when I shift it, that's full defrost, puts off the butterfly to your feet. That one opens it up, and you can see the rod actuating over there. So all I did was just use a little bit of choke cable to run it up through the firewall and attach over here to this pull point. So you can see how it works. And it actually works quite well. I was a little bit surprised that everything worked out to the right dimensions. So this is pretty much how it works. I'm sitting in the car here in the driveway. It's a nice cold rainy winter's day. It's about 45 degrees outside. I've got the heater on. I've got a temporary duct work done, so it comes from the plenum and goes down and kind of blows out at your feet or near your feet. Again, I've got the shifter so I can push this forward. That goes up to the defrost. Pull it back, that goes up to the heat. This was the original heating control in the car. And it looks like we are about 25, 26 degrees above ambient. The weather is probably about 45 degrees outside and rainy. So actually the heater does a better job of heating up the car. I just got back from a little drive, and it does a better job of heating the car up than I thought it did.